There's a difference between having a symptom of the disease of schizophrenia and having a higher likelihood of being able to know that there's a high likelihood of violence.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to get at. Was there a point where either of you, and first you, Dr. Dixon, was there a point you thought, here's what should have told people this is a dangerous, obviously we know he bought a gun, but no one was with him. So was there some sign there you thought this is a red flag for danger?
I think when people feel threatened, that would be a big red flag for me, and access to weapons.
Again, what a great statement. How many people wanted to kill Julian Assange when they felt threatened with a little bit of information coming out? And we've heard a lot of rambling about how this is not going to be good for negotiations of more war, not peace. Nobody's having any peace conferences. Everybody's about how can we manipulate war for profit. Yeah, a lot of politicians, which are nothing more than business guys, that are representing CEOs, that are all on the UN, they all got a little bit to hide, so they feel a little threatened. What's the first thing they do when they feel threatened? They want to kill people. We have professors in some of our universities in Canada here that, they feel threatened because we're going to release a little bit of information. Like what's going on in our school system. What the hell is a professor at a university saying we should kill Assange because information is coming out? There's zero logic to the rambling that this information is going to kill people. When is the truth ever going to kill anybody? It's just what psychopaths do, is they feel threatened when you get to know what the game is, and they have weapons. So let's call the real psychopaths, the real people with mental illness, by name. Let's start with Hillary Clinton.
The fact that people were frightened of him, that had this reaction, that's a little unusual. Usually people with schizophrenia don't elicit that kind of reaction. And then the key thing, of course, is he was not on medication. Medication makes all the difference in the world. People on medication, there's no increase in violence by people with schizophrenia on medication. Unfortunately, this young man was not treated.
But the truth of the matter is that there are people who don't want treatment. People can be so sick they don't know they need treatment. Then what?
In that case, that's a very complicated situation. And I think that when someone needs treatment and is unwilling to pursue it, we have to ask the question of what is the case to be made for treatment? Because many, many people can live safely without treatment, and it's a choice they're making. The treatments that we have are not free of side effects, and in that situation, I think most of us would say in our society someone should be free to make that choice. However, in the situation where a person has symptoms that are dangerous, or that a good evaluation would suggest would bring harm, that this person could bring harm to themselves or to other people. In that case,
kind of great in hindsight, because then they have a tendency to be violent. But since it's so difficult to figure out, do you think that the system, the mental health system, mental health policy of this country failed this young man, and in this case, 20 people who got shot?
Well, I think the system failed miserably on it, and I think Arizona has among the worst mental health services in the United States. There's only one state that has fewer public beds, and that's Nevada on it. So even if someone tried to get treatment for this fellow, it may or may not have succeeded in Arizona because they have cut many of their outpatient services. This is true of all over the United States. There's not a single state in the United States that I would say people could go to today and are likely to get decent care in the public sector for schizophrenia. In Arizona, in fact, the law is pretty good. You could have gone and you could have gotten involuntary treatment. Other states, you have to have proven dangerousness before you can get an involuntary evaluation.
And that's tough for someone who hasn't yet been dangerous.
That's right. That's right. Until you are either killing yourself in front of your psychiatrist or killing your psychiatrist, you can't get care.
One of the things I
Now, that's not exactly true. What do you see, for people that need help, that don't think they need help? Oh, would Hillary Clinton fit in one of those categories? Do you think Bill Clinton ever would admit he's totally friggin' mentally ill? No. These people don't think that they're ill. And even if there was, there is no place for anybody to go. The only place that we have right now are these institutions where the true psychopaths, the ones that they piss off, like the shooter who wants to come and, shoot the Congress, the government, everybody that's responsible for every single problem that we've got going on globally. The people in power pay doctors to put these people and label them to be crazy when they're acting perfectly normal. When you make somebody have to fight for their life, think that killing is the only way to solve some of these problems, yeah, we lock them up. But we don't lock up the real criminals. We only, the ones that cause you to fight for your life. There's no stopping the big, massive American dream corporate world. They'll never admit that they're crazy. And they own these medical institutions. They own the media. They'll never, ever, ever put any guidelines that says, okay, as long as they have this behavior, we have a law that says that all these people that display this labor are locked up in a hospital, then we'd have a law that makes sure that any leader, any politician that needs help will get it. But until then, they'll never make that law happen, because if it's good for the guy on the street, it's going to be good for the politicians. And there's no way in hell that they'll ever create a law that'll make it able for us to put these people in a hospital. So, and ultimately, what does the medical profession want to do? Treat you with medication that the medical world just profits off of. So it's like they want to put their own people in a hospital that's eating their own drugs. Trust me, this insane game is so friggin' insane. It's hard to describe. They don't make movies like this.
I noticed in some research that I was doing that about a decade ago, you expressed hope that a cure for schizophrenia might be within the next decade, next 10, 12 years. We're kind of there now. Where are we now in a cure and then in the treatment of?
I wish that I could say we were closer to a cure. I don't think we are even close to a cure. I think we are getting closer to treatments that can possibly prevent the disability associated with schizophrenia. We certainly have medications that target the acute symptoms, and I think we have approaches, for example, supported employment or vocational rehabilitation, that assist people with these illnesses and actually getting and keeping jobs.
Sounds good, but it's not available to a lot of people.
I'm more optimistic than that, Candy.
Oh, really?
I think we are. I think we're closer than that to having some very definitive medications that will treat the symptoms much more accurately than anything we have right now.
And finally, when...
Well, that's a pile of crap. As you heard, these two doctors that are giving you their opinion, that the media is saying, this is professional information. This is how you gauge a mental illness. This is what you do for a mental illness. And this is from professionals. So you need to believe what a professional says. This is garbage. This is a lie. I'm reading out of all of Dr. Vernon Wolf's books, who is a psychologist, among study of many other sciences, biology, education, religion, you name it, this guy has studied it and formulated a new concept that he claims can solve every problem known to the human experience. He has cured cancer, AIDS, all mental illness, addictions for more than 20 years. I find that his information is the most outstanding read I've ever had, which is why I am reading the book and making tapes of it, because a lot of people can't afford all of his books. But this guy is more of a scientist and wanted to prove his theory. So he went into mental institutions, and when he reached an 80% cure rate, they fired him because they lost their funding with no patients. This guy has been curing schizophrenic. He's been curing multiple personality disorders. Most of the most challenging mental illnesses this guy has been curing by the concept of cure the cause and you cure the illness. There's a definite cause as to why this guy is a killer. And look at what he's talking about. Government, education. He's a reflection of what's pissing him off. He turned into exactly what is pissing him off. We need better examples because we imitate our examples. We will imitate our leaders. And let's face it, our leaders are doing nothing that's mentally healthy for the people. It's all greed-based. We're finding out more and more that a lot of people involved with greed are psychopathic. There is a cure. And one of the biggest cures is we the people that are suffering from the game, the dance of this mental illness that's going on, is not to turn into the reflection of our leaders. Do not turn into what they want you to be. You are predictable. These psychopaths can control the masses because they can predict what's going to happen next. As long as you are imitating them, they know exactly what you're going to do next because it's what they would do next because they're freaking psychopaths. And they're turning the public into psychopaths with no cure, according to, other than a whole pile of medication. So you're all going to be drugged eventually. Any signs of you wanting to eat healthy food will be against the law. Think about that. That is a mentally ill. To think that you would deprive people of healthy food and think that's not going to affect the masses of mental health, the first thing to go is going to be mental health. So you need to keep your mental health by understanding. And I suggest you listen into the tapes of this Hollow Dynamics or buy his books, understand the illness, and understand how it's so easy for you to be a reflection of that and make sure that you are one of the sane ones. Everything you believe to be true might not be. And how to handle it and how to solve problems is completely unique to what the corporate world wants you to know. So email me because it's on more of a private list. It's not in a playlist, but you have to email me and I'll give you the link. And if you think it's relevant, you can put it on your playlist and everybody would be able to see it. But there is a cure. If you know anybody that's dealing with schizophrenia or any mental illness, check out Hollow Dynamics. He's been curing that illness for more than 20 years. What more proof do you want other than a doctor that our corporate world won't fund, but yet it's been proven? And that's what science is proven fact. And why is it that the United Nations does not want you to know about this? He's been heavily sending messages. This guy's a genius and should win a Nobel Peace Prize well over Obama. I could be wrong, but, go along with the information and try and point out where this information is wrong, because I can't seem to find one flaw in it. It's the only thing that's ever made any sense to me, and I would love the debate, which is why I'm taking the time to make videos on it, because I would really like to have this conversation. I think it's relevant in today's time, and it's a global thing that we should all be interested in. My opinion only.
A lot of people watched events unfold in Tucson. They blame the lack of civilized dialogue. A lot of people looked at it and saw, a civilization that's deteriorating. They found a number of people looked and said, well, it's the gun laws. When you look at the totality of what happened in Tucson, what do you see?
I think that in general we should restrict access to guns, and I do think that giving having access to guns overall is a problem.
But did you see this as a gun problem?
I think that it's really a problem of mental illness and lack of access